ride? Week 4, 2024, Hurricane Edition. Let's get into it. By the time you listen to this, a hurricane has trampled my college town of Tallahassee. Let's all hope the people of Tally are faring better than the NFL injury reports this year, because it has been a rough year. After a 2-0 start, we decided to preview a game between two of the most injured teams in the league, Mike and Chad. Said up front not to expect a barn burner, but one of these teams scored 157 points, the third most on the week. The other team, well, let's just say my touchdown-only league team might have outscored them. Chad, sorry buddy, but it was a rough week. You scored a total of 75 points. That means Mike pulls out this win, and your commish is now 3-0 on predictions this season. Perfect, boys. That's where I'm at. Shout out to Mike. Also, perfect on the season. Despite losing Kenneth Walker, George Kittle, Debo, and Puka, he's currently second place overall and 3-0. Not a bad start at all, my friends, so keep rolling. Now, while I had Mike scoring a lot less than 157 points, I did get a lot of the calls right. I said he would win through his QBs. Lamar dropped a 30-burger, not bad. I didn't have Kyron quite getting 30. He had 3 touchdowns on the day, but I did said he would get a lot of work. And per usual, I loved Monty. He's easily my favorite fantasy player right now. Guy just gets it done. He's always underrated, kind of like James Conner the past few years. I did badmouth Terry McLaurin, and that was mostly because Jaden Daniels looks like a rookie the first 2 weeks of the season. Not that he looked bad, he just took a lot of checkdowns. He actually had the lowest deep throw percentage in the league. He just wasn't throwing the ball deep. Whether he didn't have enough time, he wasn't looking. I mean, just looked like a rookie, not necessarily bad. But the problem is those short throws and underneath stuff, that's not McLaurin's game. So week 3, Jaden Daniels took a step forward. I mean, he absolutely gained some confidence, started going downfield. I mean, looked great, completed 90% of his passes. So really kind of played up the side of the ball, or the deep ball, which is McLaurin's strength. Probably should have seen that coming against probably the worst defense in the league in Cincinnati, but I didn't. So, bad call by me there. On the other side of the ball, I thought Chad's wide receivers, JSN, Tyreek, Shaheed, and Jameson Williams would give him some hope to win this game. All four receivers combined for 14 points. 14 points in 4 players. I mean, Wandale got that on his own. My bad, 13.8. I mean, that's just a terrible showing. Shaheed was one of my biggest locks of this group. It just seems like the New Orleans offense had been running through him and not Olave. He goosed 0. And I knew Jameson Williams was a boom or bust player. In fact, I think he's going to be that way all year, just because he does not get the underneath stuff. But he does get, those deep passes. So I thought against Zona, he'd catch at least one deep ball. He scored 1 point. 1 total. Yeah, that's not good. Now, not having the second QB should have been a big disadvantage for Chad, but honestly, he threw in Jake London to start a 5th receiver, and Jake London in a super flex was not bad at all, scored 18 points. That actually scored more than his quarterback, CJ Stroud. Not just a couple more, 5 more points than CJ Stroud. I mean, just a terrible week for Chad. Keep your head up, Chad. It can't get any worse from here, so hopefully things get better for you. All right, enough of the review. Let's move on to the preview of week 4. Mike, you are getting the rare back-to-back preview. I do try to take on a different team every week, but there was no matchup where it hasn't been someone that had been previewed other than myself, and I don't like to preview my own games. So I said, all right, well, what do we got? Well, Mike gets Big Thunder. It's Hurricane Week, so of course I'm previewing the Weatherman's game. Come on, I'm no rookie. But I also thought this was an intriguing matchup. Mike is 3-0. The Big Thunder here is only 0-3. Yet our AI overlords predict Simma to win this by about 10 points. So, can the winless bounce test finally steal one away and from one of our best teams in the league? Let's get into it. Now, a little caveat before I roll here. These two teams have a lot of questionable players, so I am guessing this will be a little off as to actually who gets started, but tried to make the best calls I could based on the injury reports as of Wednesday. All right, at the QB position, we have Lamar Jackson and Kirk Cousins versus Jordan Love and Andy Dalton. Like I said last week, Mike rolls out one of the biggest roller coasters at quarterback in the league in Lamar. But to be honest, man, the guy hasn't had a dip all year. He's scored more than 20 points every week, dang near 30 in 2 of the 3. He gets the Bills this week, and the Bills are a top 10 defense by every metric, but let's be honest. They got Tim Boyle, and they got the Jags 2 weeks in a row. I'm not buying this Bills defense. And Baltimore, despite being the great Baltimore Ravens, they are not rolling out Ray Lewis anymore. They are one of the 10 worst defenses in the league, and I do not think that's a mistake. So we've got 2 bad defenses with 2 good quarterbacks in the same game. And on top of that, Lamar seemingly wants to play hero ball this year. He may not be healthy the whole year, and he might end up missing 5 or 6 games this year. But he's playing this week, so I think Lamar gets to that 30-point threshold again. Now, Cousins, I don't know, man. He's just kind of Cousins. Like, he's not looking very good, but I guess he's not looking that bad. I just think he's still either recovering from the injury or maybe he just never gets it back. Don't think he's terrible, but he gets a very tough Saints defense. I mean, I'll mark him in for 15, but I'm not expecting much here out of Cousins. Now, that could also be said for Jordan Love. If Love doesn't play, Simma does have Malik to put in, so I don't think it really matters who he starts. I would give both of them about the same amount of chance at scoring, just kind of an average number. Brian Flores is running the Minnesota defense, and it's a completely new defensive scheme. No one seems to be able to figure it out. Nobody seems to be able to beat it. It's not about the players. He's scheming different defenses. I think they're calling it a micro bubble. But I don't know. It's unique and tough to beat, apparently. So while I would love to say that Love is going to score more points, I don't know, man. If somebody wanted to bet me and give me some juice and there was a way to see which of these players would score more, man, I might bet on Malik just because he's got the rushing upside. So I think either way, I imagine this quarterback spot hanging out around the Cousins level. I would just call those two a wash. So then we've got Andy Dalton essentially taking on Lamar. Now, look, week 1, Dalton blows up for 33 points. Is that a mirage? Probably. But Dalton gets a revenge game this week. Cincinnati is coming to town to play him, and Cincinnati's defense is terrible. Arguably the worst in the league, but Carolina's is the other one that is arguably the worst in the league. There's about 4 or 5 defenses right now standing out as really bad, and 2 of them are playing each other here. So while this game doesn't have a lot of cachet, I think there's going to be a lot of scoring. I don't think Andy quite keeps up with Lamar, so I'm going to give the edge here to Mike. But this is closer than it looks on paper. All right, moving on to running backs. Got Kyron, Kenneth Walker, Monty versus Jordan Mason, Bijan, and Jerome Ford. If Kenneth Walker doesn't play, Mike can definitely sub in J.K. Dobbins. While Walker might be the better play this week, I would think he splits time his first week back, particularly with Charbonnet playing well. Considering that, I don't see a big difference between them and either one of them and J.K. I would just pencil this group in for about 10 points. I mean, just kind of average, and you're hoping somebody falls in the end zone. I might even consider Dobbins just because they might have a better chance at that. I'm not sure. But I don't expect much here. However, Mike's other 2 running backs, Kyron and Monty, man, I mean, Kyron just got all the work. He got 3 TDs last week. I mean, Blake Corum, who? I mean, returning punts, what? Nah, man, this is done. As has always been the case, Sean McVay picks a guy and goes with it, and it's Kyron. So Kyron gets an average Chicago defense. I think he kind of balls out again. Do I really need to give my opinion about Monty? No, man. I'll just grab my life-size cardboard cutout that I keep in my room and show that to you guys. Monty's the man. He gets Seattle, who, yeah, they've got the league's best pass defense right now, but last I checked, Monty runs the ball. He's going to be fine. Problem is, Mike's running into a buzzsaw of a matchup with Jordan Mason and Bijan. Mason hasn't touched the ball fewer than 20 times in a game. They are feeding him. So, shocker, he's being used exactly how every running back is used in San Francisco. I mean, they're just fantasy money printing machines. So, Jordan Mason is clearly a top 10 running back. I don't know, I'd argue a top 5 plus at this point. Maybe 3. I mean, he is putting up serious points, and if he is going to get this much work, I would continue to expect him to be a solid contributor of 15 plus points every week. Bijan, on the other hand, a little underwhelming, but has been very good. Bijan is definitely involved in the running game or passing game. He has caught about 5 balls every week, so that gives him a good safe 4. He is getting that tough Saints defense, and the Falcons are going to need to score, I think, against the Saints. Well, last week did not look good. I'm not buying this Atlanta team yet. It is in Atlanta, but I think the Falcons are going to need to score. And if I had to bet, I would bet Bijan gets a touchdown this week. So a pretty strong group, capped off by Jerome Ford, who looked very odd. I mean, he looked like the man week 1, and week 2, Deontay Foreman comes in and takes time, and then week 3, it's back to Jerome Ford getting everything. So a little odd what's going on in Cleveland at the running back position, but I am going to assume Ford gets the work, and he gets Vegas. Vegas is allowing 150 rushing yards per game. Look, I am not a fan of the Browns' offense. Deshaun looks terrible, but if there was ever a week you had to bet on a Ford touchdown, this would be the week. So this is a close matchup here again, but I am going to take Thunder. I'm playing the matchups here. I'm going to take Thunder in the running back debate. Moving on to wide receiver. Mike has got Terry McLaurin, Wan'Dale Robinson, and DeMarcus Robinson versus Devontae, Tank Dell, and Ayuk. Well, another week and another take on McLaurin. This time, I'm going to take the over on his projected points. He gets Zona. They may have the worst pass rush in the league. Their defense has not been great, but their pass rush in particular has been terrible. They get Jaden Daniels, who is a rookie and looked great last week, but looked great because he had time against a bad Cincinnati defense. I imagine having extra time in the pocket again should allow Daniels to get the ball deep. That's where McLaurin lives. However, I don't expect Wan'Dale and DeMarcus Robinson to do much here. I give them 10 points. I mean, just very average. I mean, this really is where losing Debo and Puka really hurts Mike. I mean, the injuries just really take their toll in this group. So he's going to have to get lucky and hope these guys fall into the end zone to have a chance in this group. Corey, on the other hand, he certainly has the name recognition. Unfortunately, this group has underperformed for the most part. While Devontae had one huge game, his other 2 games were duds. I mean, they were 10-point games. I think less than one. While Ayuk certainly got the bag and gave us a bunch of drama to watch this offseason, he has not deserved it. He hasn't scored double-digit points in fantasy all year. In fact, Wan'Dale's worst game on the season beats Ayuk's best game on the season. Wow, that is a horrific stat. if you're a Niners fan. I mean, Ayuk, man, you've got to step up. And that was with Debo and Kittle out. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what's going on with him. I feel like Tank, on the other hand, is just going to be a boom-bust player all year. I do think that, some weeks it's just he's going to be the guy that gets open. They're going to scheme him open, just depending on how the defense plays. But you don't need any analysis here. I mean, we all watched that Jags game. The Jags are terrible. It's not about the talent on the field. They do not have any sort of identity on either side of the ball. They just look completely hapless. They're talking potentially about benching Lawrence. I'm just going to bet that this is going to be one of Tank's boom weeks. So, based on matchups, I'm going to take Corey, Big Thunder here. But this is closer than it should be. If I'm Corey, I am disappointed in this group. Moving on to tight end, we've got Kittle versus Evan Ingram. Mike starts his Niner, and like Lamar, Kittle is one of the biggest roller coasters at his position. He has great weeks. Kittle is a very capable tight end. But then there's other weeks where he blocks and gets you 4 points. Given the status of tight ends this year, Kittle will end up being a good tight end. I think with Debo out, we will see some of Kittle. Yes, I get the Jawan Jennings hype and love right now, but if he was any good, he would have proven it. He's been there for a while. He just had a good week. With Kittle coming back, I imagine he will be a part of the passing game plan. He might be asked to block a little more, but I don't know how you don't get your ball or get the ball to one of your biggest playmakers. So I'm certainly taking him over Ingram, and there's a chance Evan Ingram doesn't even play. Like I said, I just don't trust the Jags right now. They're going to need to show me multiple weeks in a row before I trust any of their offensive fantasy players. So certainly taking Kittle. Edge goes to Mike here. All right, that's it, boys. That's the preview. So who you got? Me? I'm taking Big Thunder on this upset. I think Big Thunder comes through. I think our 0-3 team topples our 3-0 second place team. I think he gets his first win. So that's what I've got. Let's see if I go 4-0. Play me out, TJ. Peace out.